You did everything right. You were patient. You were kind. You were honest. You showed up, you worked hard, you gave people the benefit of the doubt, and you kept your mouth shut when it wasn't your place to speak. You played by the rules, every single one of them. And somehow, the person who didn't do any of that, the person who lied, who cut corners, who stepped on people without blinking, that person is 3 levels above you. They're making more money. They have more freedom. They have more power. And you're sitting there watching it happen, confused, maybe a little angry, telling yourself the world is unfair. But here's what nobody will say out loud. The world isn't broken. It's working exactly as it was designed to. And the design doesn't reward goodness. It rewards something else entirely. Something they told you was wrong to have. There's a reason the worst people keep winning. It's not luck. It's not corruption. It's not just who you know. There's a specific set of traits that drive success in the real world, and every single one of them has been labeled as bad, selfish, cold, manipulative, ruthless. You were taught to get rid of them, and you did. And that is exactly why you're stuck. This video is going to show you 7 traits that society calls flaws, but that actually drive success. Not so you become someone you're not. So you understand what you threw away and why. So you stop being confused about why the game keeps going to people who seem like they should be losing. If you're the type of person who wants to see things clearly, not comfortably, but clearly, you already know what to do. Let's start with the first one, and this one is going to sting. Selfishness. You were taught that selfishness is a character flaw. Put others first, be generous, give your time, your energy, your attention. Be there for people. The person who gives is a good person. The person who keeps is selfish. And you believed that. So you gave and you gave and you kept giving. Your time to people who wasted it. Your energy to situations that drained it. Your loyalty to people who spent it on themselves. You made yourself smaller so others could be bigger. And you called that being a good person. Now look at the people actually winning. Not the people posting about success. The people who actually have it. Watch how they operate. They say no without explaining themselves. They protect their time like it's money because it is. They don't drain themselves keeping everyone else afloat. They make sure their own foundation is solid before they worry about anyone else's. They put themselves first without apology. And somehow they have more energy, more resources, more power than you do. Because they didn't spend everything on people who weren't spending anything on them. Here's what nobody told you about selflessness. It is not a virtue when the other person isn't doing the same. It is just a transfer. You take from yourself, you give to them, they take it. And nobody calls that unfair because you volunteered. You handed it over. You called it being kind. They called it free resources. There's a person in your life right now who takes from you regularly. They come to you with problems. They need your time, your support, your patience. And when you need something, they're busy, they're tired, they've got their own stuff going on. And you still show up for them next time because you're a good person. But ask yourself honestly, are they showing up for you the same way? Or are they just showing up for what you give them? Machiavelli wrote about this directly. He said that a man who tries to be good in every way will come to ruin among so many who are not good. He wasn't talking about becoming evil. He was talking about what happens when one person plays by rules that the other person has already decided to break. You are giving freely in a world that is taking strategically. That's not generosity. That's being a resource. Selfishness, the real kind, is just knowing your own limits. Protecting your own energy. Filling your own tank before you start filling others. The plane always tells you to put your oxygen mask on first, not because you don't care about the person next to you, but because you can't help them when you're out of air. Stop draining yourself dry for people who would not do the same. That's not cruelty. That's survival. And the worst people figured that out a long time ago. The good people are still waiting to be appreciated for never doing it. Now, the second trait goes deeper than selfishness. It controls how you process the world around you, how you make decisions, how you respond under pressure. And without it, selfishness alone isn't enough. Coldness. You were taught that emotions are what make us human. Show what you feel. Be warm. Lead with your heart. Let people see that you care. The good person feels deeply. The cold person is broken. And you internalized that. You led with your feelings. You made decisions based on what felt right. You stayed in situations too long because leaving felt wrong. You gave people too many chances because cutting them off felt harsh. The people running things are cold. Not mean, not cruel, cold. They separate how something feels from what something means. They see situations as problems to be solved, not experiences to be felt. When something goes wrong, they don't spiral. They calculate. They look at what happened, why it happened, what the best move is now. No guilt clouding the judgment. No sentiment getting in the way. Just clear, clean thinking. And they consistently make better decisions than you do. Not because they're smarter, because they're less distracted. Here's the thing about being warm. It makes you easy to control. Your emotions are handles. Anyone who knows what you care about can use it against you. Make you feel guilty and you'll do something you shouldn't. Make you feel obligated and you'll give more than you agreed to. Make you feel sympathetic and you'll forgive something you should have acted on. You've had people in your life who did exactly this. You know the feeling. Someone says the right thing, hits the right nerve, and suddenly you're doing what they wanted even though you knew it wasn't right for you. That happened because your warmth gave them access. Your feelings were the door, and they knew exactly how to open it. Coldness is not about feeling nothing. It's about not letting feelings make decisions. You feel the thing, you note it, and then you think, what is actually happening here? What is the best move? Not what feels good. What works? Machiavelli understood this better than almost anyone. He wrote that you should never let your emotions overpower your intelligence. The warm person gets played through their feelings. The cold person sees the play coming before it arrives. If this is already changing how you see things, hit the like. It tells me to keep making content exactly like this. Think about decisions you've made when you were emotional. Relationships you stayed in too long because leaving felt wrong. Money you spent because you felt guilty saying no. Situations you didn't walk away from because you were too emotionally invested to see clearly. Now think about what those decisions cost you. Coldness is just the ability to make those decisions before they cost you everything. The worst people have it. The good people don't. And the difference shows up everywhere. Third trait. This one is about who you keep around. And it's connected to everything we just talked about, because even if you learn to protect yourself and think clearly, if you keep the wrong people in your life, none of it matters. Ruthlessness. You were taught to forgive. Give people second chances. Be patient. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone deserves grace. The good person sees the best in people. The good person waits for people to become who they could be. You became that person. You gave more chances than you should have. You forgave things you shouldn't have forgiven. You waited for people to change who had already shown you exactly who they were. Now watch how the most successful people handle betrayal. Someone crosses them, they remove them. No long conversation about feelings, no 3 more chances, no waiting around hoping things will be different this time. Gone. They don't hold grudges. They just don't hold on to people who've shown they're a liability. The relationship gets downgraded immediately. Not because they're cold, because they value their own time and energy enough not to keep recycling it into something that keeps breaking. Here's the hard truth about forgiveness. Forgiving someone who keeps hurting you is not grace. It's permission. Every time you take someone back after they've shown you who they are, you're teaching them that there are no real consequences for how they treat you. They learn your boundaries are flexible. They learn that you'll absorb whatever they do and come back. And they will keep doing it. Not because they're monsters, because you've shown them it works. Think about the person who keeps disappointing you. How many times have they apologized? How many times have you believed it? How many times has nothing changed? You're still in that loop. And they're still in your life because you're too forgiving to close the door. Ruthlessness isn't cruelty. It's just standards with actual consequences. The ruthless person says, here is how I need to be treated, And when that doesn't happen, they act on it. No negotiation, no warning. Number 4. The standard is the standard. Machiavelli wrote that if you must harm someone, do it decisively so they cannot come back to harm you later. Half measures create lingering enemies. The forgiving person half removes problems. They express hurt, but keep the person around. They set boundaries but don't enforce them. They have the conversation, get the apology, feel temporarily better, and then find themselves in the exact same situation 6 weeks later. They end up surrounded by exactly the people who keep proving they should have been removed a long time ago. The ruthless person doesn't have repeat offenders, not because they're feared, because they remove the problem the first time completely and move on. There's no door left open, no gray area to exploit. Just a clear, quiet ending that the ruthless person doesn't lose sleep over because they know what they protected. Ruthlessness means removing problems fully, not out of anger, out of clarity. If someone in your life keeps taking from you and you keep letting them, drop the word "done" in the comments. I read all of them. The 4th trait is where it gets uncomfortable, because this one challenges something most people consider a core part of their identity: manipulation. You were taught that manipulation is evil. Be honest, be direct. Don't try to influence people. Don't play games. Don't be strategic. The good person says what they mean and means what they say. Manipulators are the enemy, and you believe that. You became the honest one, the direct one, the one who lays everything out in the open because you have nothing to hide. And while you were doing that, other people were deciding which cards to show, framing things to get the response they wanted, understanding what motivated the people around them, and using that understanding. You told the truth. They told the truth that served them. You played checkers. They played chess. Look at any negotiation you've lost. Any situation where you were right but didn't win. Any relationship where being transparent gave someone information they used against you. Your honesty wasn't noble. It was a handicap. The honest person is predictable. The strategic person is not. And predictable people lose consistently against people who understand how to move through human interactions with intention. Here's what nobody says. Everyone influences everyone else. Every conversation involves some level of shaping how you're perceived, choosing what to say and what not to say, framing things to land a certain way. That's not manipulation. That's communication. The line between influence and manipulation is just whether you approve of what the person is going after. When you like their goal, you call it persuasion. When you don't, you call it manipulation. Same skill, different judgment. You've been avoiding this skill entirely, while people who have no such hang-up have been using it on you every day. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be. Very few actually know what you are. The strategic person manages appearance. They show what helps them and protect what doesn't. They understand that perception is a real thing with real consequences, and they take it seriously. The honest person throws everything on the table and trusts others to treat it fairly. Sometimes they do. Most of the time they don't. Understanding influence isn't becoming dishonest. It's becoming aware, knowing when to speak and when to wait, knowing how to frame something so it lands, knowing what someone needs to hear to actually hear what you're saying. That's not a character flaw. That's competence. Now we're getting into the 3 traits that hold everything else together, because the first 4 are weapons. These last 3 are what determine whether you can actually use them. The 5th one is paranoia. You were taught to trust people, give them the benefit of the doubt, assume good intentions, take people at their word. Good people don't assume the worst. You became trusting. You believed people until they gave you direct evidence not to. You opened up quickly. You gave access before it was earned, and you got betrayed. Not once, multiple times, by people you trusted, people you vouched for, people you called friends. Now think about the people who never seem to get blindsided. They trust slowly. They watch behavior over time before they decide what it means. They listen to what people say, but they watch what people do. And when those 2 things don't match, they take note. They don't assume the worst. They just don't assume the best either. They wait for proof. And because they wait, they rarely get caught off guard. Here's what nobody says about trust. It is a vulnerability. Every time you trust someone, you are giving them the ability to hurt you. You are opening a door that you cannot close from the outside. And most people deserve that trust most of the time. But some people will walk through that door and take everything they can carry. And you handed them the key because you thought assuming good intent was the right thing to do. Every major betrayal in your life came from someone you trusted. Not a stranger. Someone you let in. Someone you vouched for. Someone you gave access to the parts of you that could be used against you. Paranoia is just learning that lesson and applying it going forward. Test people before you trust them. Watch what they do when it costs them nothing to be dishonest. Watch what they do when they have something to gain. Watch how they treat other people when they think no one is looking. Machiavelli wrote that people are so simple and so ready to believe what they want to believe that anyone who wants to deceive will always find people willing to be deceived. Don't be those people. Verify first, trust after. Tell me in the comments, do you tend to trust people quickly or make them earn it? I genuinely want to know where most people are at with this. The sixth trait is one that most people feel but were told to suppress. And suppressing it is costing you more than you know. Greed. You were taught to be content. Be grateful for what you have. Don't be materialistic. Don't always want more. Enough is enough. Good people are satisfied. Greedy people are never happy. And so you stopped reaching. You told yourself you were being grateful. You told yourself you were at peace. But the truth is you stopped pushing because someone made wanting more feel shameful. And the people who kept pushing, kept wanting, kept refusing to be satisfied with where they were. They kept growing while you stayed exactly where you were. The people who build things are never satisfied. Not because they're unhappy people. Because their drive doesn't have an off switch. They reach a goal and immediately start looking at the next one. They accumulate and keep accumulating. They see their potential and refuse to accept the gap between where they are and where they could be. That is not a character flaw. That is fuel. The person who told you wanting more was greedy, either already had enough and wanted you to stop competing, or had nothing and wanted you to feel better about having nothing. Either way, it served them, not you. Think about the gap between where you are and where you know you're capable of being. Are you actually at peace with that gap? Or have you just made peace with not closing it? Contentment and giving up look almost identical from the outside. The difference is whether the person is truly satisfied or just tired of trying. And most people who call themselves content are tired. They stopped wanting more because wanting more and not getting it hurts. So they convinced themselves they didn't want it in the first place. They called it gratitude. They called it perspective. But underneath all of that is a quieter, more honest voice saying, "This isn't where I'm supposed to be." You know that voice. Machiavelli wrote that the desire to acquire more is completely natural and normal. What he understood is that ambition is not a vice. Ambition suppressed is just wasted potential dressed up as humility. Your greed is not shameful. It's a signal. It's telling you what you actually want. The only question is whether you're going to keep ignoring it or start using it. If you know someone stuck in the same loop, feeling overlooked, running on empty, watching others win while they do everything right, send them this video. Sometimes the right thing finds someone at exactly the right moment. And now the seventh trait, the one that makes all the others possible in public, because all 6 traits we've talked about are internal. This last one is what determines whether you can actually act on any of them without stopping yourself before you start. Shamelessness. You were taught to care what people think. Be humble, be modest. Don't be too confident, don't take up too much space. Good people are self-aware. Good people feel appropriate shame, and so you became careful. You filtered yourself before you spoke. You didn't start the thing because people might judge it. You didn't ask for what you wanted because it might look arrogant. You didn't take up space you deserved because you didn't want to seem like too much. And you called this humility. But your humility is a leash, and other people are holding it. Every time you feel shame, someone else is winning. Someone else's potential opinion of you is stopping you from acting. You're not being modest. You're being controlled by people who aren't even watching, by a judgment that hasn't even happened yet, by an audience that doesn't exist. You're limiting your own life for the possibility that someone might disapprove. And meanwhile, the person with no such concern is asking for what they want, taking the space they want, promoting themselves without apology, and getting results you wish you had. The shameless person doesn't check if you approve first. They decide what they want, they pursue it. They don't ask permission from your opinion. If you judge them, they note it and keep moving. Because your judgment is not their ceiling. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. What he understood is that needing to be loved hands others power over you. They can control you through your need for their approval. The shameless person doesn't need your approval, can't be leashed through your judgment. They are genuinely free in a way that the approval-seeking person never will be. Think about everything you haven't done because of what someone might think. The opportunity you didn't take, the thing you didn't say, the move you didn't make, the version of yourself you haven't let out because you're not sure how it would land. All of that is the cost of shame. And it's a cost you've been paying your whole life without realizing you're the one writing the checks. 7 traits: selfishness, coldness, ruthlessness, manipulation, paranoia, greed, shamelessness. Put them together and you have the person everyone calls the worst. The person people whisper about. The person people say has changed, has gotten cold, isn't who they used to be. And you also have the person who keeps winning while everyone watches. Here's what this all points to and what no one wants to say directly. You were programmed to be easy, not good, easy. Selfless people are easy to extract from. Warm people are easy to push around through their feelings. Forgiving people are easy to take advantage of because they absorb consequences you should have enforced. Honest people are easy to outmaneuver because you can see every card they have. Trusting people are easy to betray. Content people are easy to keep down because they don't demand more. Ashamed people are easy to control because you only need to threaten their reputation. Your virtues were not designed to help you succeed. They were designed to make you manageable. By people who benefit from you being manageable. The people who taught you to be good were not thinking about your future. They were thinking about their convenience. A room full of good people is a room full of people who are easy to take from. You were taught to be one of them, and you were. But here's the thing. Developing these traits doesn't make you evil. It makes you competitive in a game where everyone else is already playing this way. They just don't talk about it in public. They celebrate virtue in the open and practice strategy in private. The only difference between them and you is that they stopped performing goodness as a strategy a long time ago. They kept the weapons. You disarmed yourself because someone told you weapons were wrong to have. The people in your life will notice when you change. They'll see you putting yourself first. They'll see you making decisions with your head instead of your heart. They'll see you cutting people off faster. They'll see you getting strategic. They'll see you trusting slower. They'll see you wanting more and not apologizing for it. They'll see you stop caring what they think. And some of them will call you different. Cold, selfish, not who you used to be, good. Because who you used to be was finishing last. Who you used to be was getting taken from. Who you used to be was watching people with half your talent end up with twice your results because they understood something you refused to. Let them call you the worst person in the room. The worst person in the room is often the one everyone else is secretly watching. Because the worst person in the room tends to be the one building something while everyone else is waiting to be recognized for how good they are. You were never going to win by being the nicest. You were never going to get what you want by giving everything to people who give you nothing back. You were never going to close the gap by staying content with the gap. And you were never going to live freely while you were still asking for permission from other people's opinions of you. Now you know what the actual game looks like. Now you know what the people winning it have that most people threw away. The only question left is what you're going to do with that. Keep performing goodness and keep watching others win. Or start being honest about what it actually takes and start doing that. If something in this video landed differently than you expected, stick around. There's more where this came from, and we're just getting started here, and so are you. Next video, the real reason nobody respects you, and the one shift that changes everything overnight.